It's nearly Christmas time, and Santa Reggie delivered an early present in the form of some new footage of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon during the latest Nintendo Direct. Of course, that means we're going to dig in and analyze it to see what secrets the footage might be hiding. But beyond that, I also wanted to revisit the footage from our previous analysis to point out some details that you guys noticed that I missed. Alright, let's get started. The new footage opens up with what appears to be the game's introductory cutscene. Here we see Dr. Egad studying the friendly ghosts of Evershade Valley. That is until the Dark Moon explodes, which for some reason turns the ghosts into jerks. I mean really, who rips up a book like that? So this is the first actual look we've gotten at the Dark Moon itself, and it finally explains the game's title. But we still don't know why it exploded or how that causes the ghost to go mad, but we think we know who's behind the whole thing. King Boo, as seen here in some official artwork for the game. Now we already mentioned in our last analysis that we expected him to be the main antagonist since that was the case in the first Luigi's Mansion. But now we think we have some hard evidence linking him to the scene of the crime. But first, let's take a quick look at the official artwork released for the original GameCube version. King Boo looks pretty similar, right? I mean besides the giant Bowser costume. But if we put the two images side by side, we can see one small difference. The color of the jewel on his crown has changed from red to purple, which appears to be a similar color to that of the Dark Moon. He might just be wearing part of what's left as decoration. At any rate, it's then up to Luigi to put things straight as we see him gearing up in a scene from what we presume to be the first level. We then get a few scenes of Luigi exploring the mansion, and we see that, as with the first game, there are hidden things abound. Like the door here covered by a tarp, and we're pretty sure you'll be able to suck up the spiderweb covering the window here too. And the next scene continues the trend with a trapdoor hidden in the fireplace. Interestingly, a scene later in the footage shows that same room in an earlier state. As you can see, the fireplace is initially covered by a gate that's only removed once Luigi clears the room of ghosts. Now if we compare the two scenes, we can see that the thing hanging on the wall just left of the window appears to have been replaced by something else in the aftermath, though we can't quite tell by what or what for. And you see that carpet there? In the scene that occurs afterward, we can see Luigi's already used his vacuum to roll it up, similar to a scene from the E3 demo. But this time it looks like it exposed a slot or a switch in the ground. Now the trapdoor in the fireplace leads directly to the studio where we're introduced to a new type of ghost. Now although we don't see them attack, there are still a few interesting things we can infer from them. For one, it shows they can still stumble upon some ghosts while they're doing their own leisurely activities, such as the ones painting here, just like in the original Luigi's Mansion. Secondly, it looks like each type of ghost will come in a unique color, as the only other types we've seen besides the Boos have been green, red, orange, yellow, and pink. Oh, and white too if you count the dog. For those keeping track, that doesn't leave a lot of main colors left, which might mean there's not many ghost enemies that we haven't seen. But that may not matter since there are a ton of non-ghost type enemies as well, as we showed in our previous analysis. And it even appears ghosts of the same type will occasionally switch things up, such as this one decked out in kitchen utensils. Now, do you remember the room from the intro that Egad is working from? It looks like you'll actually be visiting it at some point too. And that about covers it for our analysis of the new footage, but I also want to talk about some of the ideas you guys had based on our previous analysis. So last time I pointed out there was a strange looking jewel on the ground in one of the scenes from the previous Nintendo Direct. At the time I mentioned it just might be a collectible like the gold coins for a better score. But one of our fans, Waluigi the Cool 2, thinks that because its color is similar to King Boo's headpiece, it might actually be related to him in some way as well. Though Dat Boy Bob disagrees, noting that's a different shape entirely. Now in that same room I also noted a strange portal looking thing with a walkway leading up to it. The Salsa Gamer 396 thinks it might be a warp point to an earlier part of the mansion in case you missed something that you'll need later. I think it makes as much sense as anything I could think of. The Cosmic Shadow Mario pointed out something I totally missed. When Luigi flashes the enemies here, 3 flying creatures appear to pop out. Now it's hard to tell exactly which enemy they come out of, but the green color suggests it's the ghost. But why did they pop out of that specific ghost and not the other green ones we've seen? And are they enemies too? Finally, 152 Bowser has a pretty wild theory regarding the outdoor scene when Luigi passes his reflection. He doesn't think it's a reflection at all. Instead, he thinks it might be a ghost impersonating Luigi inside a room that perfectly mirrors the outside. And he went on to suggest that using that doppelganger might be how you gain access to the buried treasure chest that I noted before. Supporting the idea is the fact that the tree visible in the reflection doesn't appear to be in the actual world itself, plus the background behind it looks suspiciously like a wall. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy idea, but it's not without precedent as Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64 did something very similar, where Mario actually came face to face with his mirror twin. And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. As always, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and other things gaming too.